Welcome to today's episode of Sunny Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Adam Slutskin, co-founder of Password Boss and AutoElevate. In this episode, Adam talks about the transition of companies moving back to a hybrid workplace, mental health struggles of employees in a global pandemic, and giving remote hires a greater work experience. And now, your host and the CEO of IT by Design, Sunny Kayla.
Hi, Adam. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Sunny. Good to be here.
I know we have done this a couple of times in the podcast, and it is always a pleasure to see you at all these different shows and trade shows because you are that thought leader in the channel where you have so much experience, so much wisdom, where you can share with our MSP partners. And, so you have built different companies on the advisory board for a lot of companies. And I see that you're making an impact, making a difference, especially in the channel. And I'm so glad that you're here today.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate being here. And I love the topic that we're going to have today. The last time we got together, we had talked about operating in only a remote environment, and look forward to this conversation. I think we're going to break that down a little bit further and talk about some perspective, right, that we've seen from all remote, no remote, half remote. Yeah. So I think we're going to have some good conversation. I really believe that hybrid is the great balance, and here's why. I think for me, and the way that I like building teams and building culture, teaching and learning, I think hybrid's good, Sunny, and here's why. I think when we're in the office all the time, if we all go back and remember when the rules were, we go to the office, I always looked forward to those days when I could work from home, because they were like those deep thought days where I love being around everyone more than anything, but I could really stay focused, right? I could focus on what I needed to get accomplished. I could wake up right away. I didn't have to worry about getting dressed or taking a shower. I'm sure we all take showers. I wasn't dirty. I took one night before. But you could just get going, right? And I think that's what we saw. But here's what I learned. I kind of miss being around people. One, just for our mental health and well-being, only communicating on a Zoom or a Teams screen, I don't know if is healthy, right? Doing it all the time. And I think there'll be plenty of studies to come on that. But then I think back when I was in the office all the time, and others I would talk to, and we enjoyed those kind of deep focus days when I could work from home. That's why I think hybrid's probably the best way, at least for me, because I like getting everybody together. There's just a different vibe when you can build a culture when you're all together, eating together, learning together, working together, going out after work together, right? And doing those things. The team events, right? Work hard, play hard, and having those things. And then, but then also having a couple days, like I said, we're at 2 days work from home, where, man, I can really, and everybody else can just kind of bear in. We check in. Here's a little trick. Here's what I believe. On those days when you are fully remote, we talked about this last time, how to stay connected. We talked about check-ins, doing daily huddles, right? Virtual team building events, which are great. Some of the things people have created. Who knew magic could be good on Zoom or comedy? I didn't know if it'd be good, but it was funny. But I think that, when you look at it, the hybrid is good, but what do you do on the days when you're not together? Yeah, those are the days you should have your Zoom daily huddle, right? Have a check-in. Make sure that you're still staying connected. Don't disconnect, right, completely, right? So just, Sunny, I know you love doing daily huddles, and we used to do them when I was, doing some advisory with you, right? We did those daily huddles, and they were great. They were that way to check in with everyone remote, say hello, see each other, go over agenda items, anything we needed to get out for the day, and then we could hit our deep thought, deep focus time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think that's a good little trick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or technique.
Yeah, so I think what I heard you say, Adam, is like the why of choosing hybrid workplace is mental health being number one, because we are social animals. We really enjoy being around people, right? And if we are just kind of working from home all day, you get up, you just walk down to your home office, and you kind of really, then it's just after some time it's kind of boring, that schedule, at least the way I feel. We have to be able to get out of our houses, just have that little bit of scenery change, a little bit of we have to experience life. You can't just experience life just by staying home. And this month being, or this week being mental awareness week, I think major impact that I have seen any CEO that I'm talking to from their people's perspective is that a lot of people are struggling from the mental health perspective, just because every day you're just working from home, you're not getting to interact with people. Number two, you know, you can have daily hurdles, you can have weekly L10s. Those are all great things to accommodate hybrid workplaces. But there is no substitute for kind of really saying, hey, great job, just kind of really giving someone a hug, giving people just that, the kudo in person is very different. Or taking someone out for coffee and, hey, how are things with you, your team member? It's just, you can't do that with Zoom. You can, the experience is different. I just came back from India, Adam. So far, because not everyone is in the office, so what we have been doing is we are hosting quarterly banquets in the US, all sites where it's not fully in person, and we're just kind of creating that environment which is hybrid. What we do is, like, people where they are especially remote. So I just came back from India. We hosted everyone. It was a 2-day event. We booked a resort in the mountains, and close to the Himalayan mountains, where we could hike in the morning. We could do yoga, meditation. Daytime is learning together, some team activities, volleyball. There they don't play baseball. It was cricket. We played cricket for 2 days. And evening was more like DJ and dinner and dancing. It was such an awesome experience, and we did our first one. We close our quarter and do that, right? To your point of, like, what you can do, dinners and other team activities in person to build that rapport, build that overall that connection, human connection in person. There is just no other way to do it. And then impact on culture, like, your culture norms can be adopted much better when you have that in person as well, and where you can kind of really we call it like culture by design, that is going to happen by default. If you don't want this to happen by default, you're intentional about creating it by design, then I think in person, at least some interaction, that could be weekly, that could be monthly, but some human interaction in person is important.
Yeah, I think so. And it's, we say culture, we say, persona, we say personality. Every company that I've worked for or with, they're all a little bit different, right? There's just certain things. I mean, and this one is just is kind of, funny. Is this how you create a great culture? No, but it was one of the things that we did. When I was at ConnectWise for 9 years, we played a lot of foosball. Anybody that's been in the ConnectWise office, smile right now. You probably played a game of foosball with us. We would literally stay there all night, Sonny, sometimes after work. The people that enjoyed playing, and we would all just rotate and play, and we had teams, and it was fun. It was competitive. We had a social after hour cocktail sometimes, not that you had to. And then it was funny, when I went to Accient with Matt Notrob there for a spell, I'm like, oh yeah, man, first thing, dude, we got to get a foosball table. Guess how many people played? Like 3 of us. That was it. It was just not the personality, the persona of that team. And what they were into there is they would play hundreds of hours of ping pong. Oh my God, everybody was so good at ping pong when I got there, and it was horrible. And I used to just get my butt kicked all the time. But here's the point I'm trying to make. That isn't how it's not that you have games or no games inside your company. There's just different things that each team is going to like, their personality and dislike. But if we weren't in the office, you wouldn't have known that. We never would have had that. And so I think as you get people together and you can reinforce those things, but let's bring it to work. What are the work norms? When you grow up and you start early in your career, we used to go in the office for 100 hours a week, but you know what you learned? The work norms, because you looked to the people on your left, the people on your right, you saw what they did, and you said, oh, that's what I need to do. By the way, because, I love talking about being in the military. And for anybody else that was in there out here that's been in the military, it's the same thing. You look to the left, you look to the right. We learned how to act because we looked at the other people. And if you kind of weren't acting the right way, they kind of let you know. And in work, it's the same thing. In corporate, they kind of let you know. And so it's hard. What I've learned is that was, I think, with the younger people or earlier in their careers, really hard to move along and accelerate that with only remote. Mm-hmm. You get them in the office, you're looking to your left, you're looking to the right. There's everybody. You can turn and ask a quick question. Rather than when you're remote, oh, geez, I got to try to get hold of somebody, right? And you can never get that same vibe, that same learning experience as like right now we're looking at each other. But now take that, we're looking at each other, but now we're physically next to each other. It's not bad what we're doing right now and with the remote, but there's no doubt that it's different when you're in person, mm-hmm. right? The body language, the excitement, the being able to reinforce everything that I've exchanged with you by watching other people around me, by being able to have those ad hoc learning moments. It's the learning and the teaching. Plus, I honestly think that it reinforces the retention. Here's why. Let's say you and I work together. We chat on remote once or twice a day. We don't have a real relationship, right? It's a different relationship, not as passionate when you and I are together. And I love being with you when I get to see you on the road and we get some time together. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is I have all this other free time. I may talk to you 30 minutes a day or engage with you 30 minutes a day remotely. Well, guess who's calling? The recruiters. And they're not stopping. They're calling all day long, looking for talent, right? And so here's the thing. I don't really have like the same connection with you than if I'm breaking bread with you and we're in the office, man, and maybe we are playing ping pong. Maybe we're just talking about scenarios on anything relating to work, operations, technical development, sales and marketing. It could be anything. And you know what? I'll tell you, it makes it a lot harder to leave. It's like, I don't know. I kind of really like where I'm at. I like coming to work and being with Sunny every day. Sometimes it has nothing to do with everything else. It has to do with people. Yeah. I like being around the people I'm with. I don't want to go. I've heard that so much at so many of the companies that I've been at where we had that. And they just really love that fraternalness. Had nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's always that first call, right? So when people are open to take that first call of a recruiter, and I think, so that when you have that relationship, it's just, you kind of, because people that you work with, you have relationship with them and people value that a lot. So I do have like a question related to strategies. Like there are a lot of MSPs, they're still kind of struggling to bring people back, at least even in a hybrid workplace, like implementation of hybrid workplace. And when they are doing it, the major thing that I'm hearing is that, Sunny, I asked this and, X number of people left because of our call to at least start coming back to the office a few days a week. So what are some of your learnings, some insights that you have gained that you can share with our MSP friends, that what are the best practices, strategies to move from, all remote to hybrid workplace effectively?
Yeah, and I think, you just bring up a good point. I think about some of the stuff with some companies I work with as far as when you're implementing any strategy, generally where I see challenges arise when it's on, off, all or nothing. And I don't know if that's good because look, we all, and for full transparency, even as I moved from all remote for about, I don't know, 4.5 years into going back into an office, it's an adjustment. One, understand your heat map of where your people are located. What do their commutes look like, right? I have the longest commute. I moved out where I did because I thought I was going to be all remote forever. Now I'm going back in office. I have to commute an hour a day. And I'm not going to lie, it took me a little bit and still is taking me time to get used to that. So I think, one, understand the heat map of where your people are. Who's got those long commutes? Did people move and they're outside the commuting area? Two, what does that mean now that you know that? You know what? I do. I've changed my commuting times. So if I try to be in the office, for example, at 8:30, it's going to take me an extra 25 minutes in the car. So understanding that, I leave a little bit later. It means I get in the office a little bit later, right? In the old days, what did we always say? Oh, you can't be late, right? You can't be late. So I think understanding that, some of those things, like, for example, a commute pattern, and saying, look, I know you're kind of far out. What does your commute look like to being here at 8:30? And maybe being sensitive to that and trying to adjust, have some flexibility, saying, oh, based on that, like with me, I get it. Your experience commuting is horrible for you to be here at 8:30, but to be at 9 o'clock, it's a lot less stressful. And so I think understanding those things, because old school was, hey, you're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. If you're here at 10 after 9, you're late, right? And look, back in the day, we would let people go for things like that. And I think understanding that difference and understanding where your people live, what does that commute look like? Maybe being flexible there. That's one thing you can do. I think the other things is we were talking about on off, and most companies where I see they struggle, they're doing one thing one way today, and then tomorrow they try to change everything. And sometimes even how they communicate to their customers or to their prospects, right? Or to the vendors they partner with. And I think that's usually where things kind of fail. So in other words, when we say move from full remote, you've been remote for 3 years, now you're going to go hybrid. Okay, how many days a week are you going to be hybrid? Some are 4, some are 3, some are 2. So I think easing people in, right? And saying maybe at phase 1, if you're trying to get to a 3-day hybrid, 3 days in the office, I'll give you an example where I'm at right now with Password Boss. We started with 2 days and then we added the 3rd day. And so rather than going all or nothing, right, we ease people in. And I think if you just think through that and a lot of other things that you could apply to that, I think that that'll help you, encourage people, not be fearful of losing people as you move them into, full remote to hybrid. And look, here's the other side of this. You've got to figure out what your culture is. What is the personality and the expectations of your company? There may just be people. I know it's scary because we don't want to lose anybody. It's, we think it's so hard to find people, but you don't want to sacrifice your culture. And by the way, if you get too eclectic with, well, some people are just going to all still be remote and other people are going to come in. And I'm not talking about when they're geographically dispersed. If you're headquartered in Florida, like I am, and you have people in Pennsylvania, like I do, clearly you're not going to come in every day, right? They are remote. But the overwhelming majority, I'd say for us, 80, 85% of our colleagues, we purposely have said, we want you to be in Florida, in Tampa, so that we can reinforce the culture and have people be more in a hybrid environment.
Yeah. So let me ask you a follow-up question there that it is important for people to interact. So giving some flex hours based on understanding of commute, those are great kind of suggestions. And then overall, not just on off or just, all or nothing type of strategy. Work with people to create that, like a co-created plan where their buy-in is there and overall understanding logistics. But there are a lot of MSPs where, and including IT by Design, where we made some decisions because we had a hard time filling that position within New York City Metro. We have gone out and hired people from Tampa to you name it, so it's a lot of hiring recently, just in the interest of just on time hiring. We had to make those decisions and hire people from other states. So what do you do there when you have this, your belief system is that yes, in person is important, and in order for people to be aligned with the culture and everything, they need to at least have some presence in the office. So how do you handle that? Because Pennsylvania people are not going to come to Tampa every day to work.
No, they're not. And we also have some people in Colorado and one other state. But here's the thing. So when building that, there's no doubt there's going to be more than likely some people that you're going to want to hire. They're not located at where you're headquartered. They're super talented, super experienced, and they can really help you address, a gap in your business continuity. Well, here's the thing that we just said. I think the takeaway there is experience, right? One, are they somebody that is used to working remotely, and independently? Two, for me, if you're going to be remote, you've got to have the experience as well. So here's what I learned. Like, we always talk about this one role, one of the junior roles in sales that many of us call BDMs, business development managers, BDRs, reps, or SDRs, right? And they tend to be very junior, and they've gotten more junior than ever because any of those roles, they're really the same role of BDR, just different names. They're getting hired as sales reps now. What used to be someone that you would hire for that SDR role is now getting hired as a rep with very little experience, which for us has been fine. We've pivoted, and we've just so blessed to have met so many great young people, literally at most 1 year out of college, and putting them into those junior roles. Here's what I've learned. Those roles, those people with the less experience have to be in the commuting area. It's just so hard to teach and for them to learn in that experience they get from being in the office. So for us and I don't think there's anything illogical there. More experienced, more open for being remote. Less experienced, want to be in the office. But how do you still bring those people in that are remote? Well, that is by having those daily huddles and having some, making sure that you're having the Zoom time and where, the screens aren't blacked out, where we're actually seeing each other. But I think it's important to get them to come in. And so whether that's once a month, coming in for a couple of days, or once every couple months, or once a quarter for a week, certainly having that. And that's something I definitely do, and something that I support, because it's just, again, the longer you're displaced, it's just hard to do the teaching, the learning, the reinforcement of, hey, here's why we love it here. Here's how we work together, the interaction, the mental health impact. There's no doubt, man. I don't know about you. After a while, it's just weird. I'm in the same spot. I got my moose head behind me. I didn't kill it. I actually bought it where you live in Jersey at an antique show with my dad, 30 years ago. But after a while, I see the same thing. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in the same chair. And even though I'm still hating commuting again, right? I'm getting used to it. I'm not at hate anymore. I'm okay, I'm commuting again. And I'm in that car about an hour each way. I'm loving being around people.
Yeah.
It's just so good to see everybody.
Yeah, I love that. That experienced people, where they have had experience working remotely, they have their self-discipline, they have some proven kind of value in kind of working remotely and staying kind of focused and productive. Then because everyone's strengths are different. Some people are naturally very good at kind of utilizing their time properly and planning their time. And some people, they require a little bit of kind of oversight, right? And so
Some people, I
normally,
mean, we can say it. Some people just aren't good at remote. Some
yeah,
people just aren't good at
yeah,
it.
they get distracted, right? So personalities, some personalities are naturally kind of very like, in Larry Little's world, are born monkeys, and it's hard for them to stay kind of focused. And then especially with the people where they don't have experience, or people like that are out of college, where they have to go through that new hires trainings, it's very important to have that in person. Like, even if so, when I was coming out of my hotel, Sheraton, which was right in front of Hilton in Dallas from Evolve, and I had like 300 people. I kind of, between Hilton and Sheraton, they were having some kind of new hires training. I think it was by
Oh.
JetBlue. And I started talking to someone. I'm like, so what brought you here? This was a group, and they're like, we are here for trainings. Some people are for new hire training. Some people they do some kind of annual kind of reminders, and they call it like a refresher or something.
Yeah.
Where they have you go through all the run books once a year, and they kind of train you on changes and everything, right? So trainings are very important in person, especially when you're onboarding someone. Having that person sit in the bullpen, or some kind of trainings where that in-person trainer is available, or manager is available to train you, that company way of doing things, is very important. And now one more piece. So some people, even if they're experienced, they can be sitting in Pennsylvania. What do you suggest should be the rhythm to bring them in person, have a party? What I mentioned earlier, like we are doing on a quarterly basis in our India offices right now, and here in the US offices. So what do you suggest? Engaging those individuals who are working remotely, at least, from that in-person experience point of view, building that rapport point of view is important, right? If you just have someone working remotely for years, that's probably not a good strategy. So what is the right way to engage those people and have that some of in-person experience?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's a little bit different for everyone, right? It's nice when you can be in a monthly cadence, but if someone lives, like, say, here I'm in Florida and someone's in California, maybe once a month is more challenging than, say, if someone is in Georgia, right? And maybe a couple hour drive away. And well, actually, just to be fair, so nobody says, hey, it's not a couple hours, it's 7 hours, I think. But
Depends who drives.
but the point being, is it's like I think like a 45-minute 1 hour flight, something like that. Anyway, so I think those are some of the other things you have to consider. Is, once again, I go back to the heat map. Where's everybody located? So there are certain people, like, and for me, if they're closer, I try to once a month, if you can do it, and certainly once every couple months. For the people that are farther out, we definitely like to plan, and they'll come in for a longer stay, and we'll do a full week, at least once a quarter. And it's a chance just for everyone to interact. By the way, come on, we all know that there's always, and I hate the word when people say conflict. I don't believe in healthy conflict. I was associated with many conflicts in the military, none were healthy. So I think tension, or your friction is a better word. We know that sometimes that happens with interdepartment stuff, but my God, when you're together, right? As soon as you see the person, like, oh, support's not doing their job, sales not doing their job, development's not doing their job, and you get everybody together, and everybody's just like, oh man, it's so good to see you, and they start smiling, and you start taking those walls down. You got to get together at least every now and then, because if not, those things fester. And then the imagination of the human being runs wild. Then it's a matter of, oh my God, Sonny is just not doing his job. And then when you're in the office, you see, what you see? Sonny's working. He's got his head down and he's working hard. He's engaging with everybody. And you're like, I had it wrong. I had it wrong.
Yeah, teamworks. I mean, teamwork has a different meaning when you have that relationship going. You have that rapport building going. Same team member will do a lot more for you when you have that relationship, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And listen,
Absolutely.
and by the way, just because we go back to the topic, right? You know, I don't want to skew everyone and say the only way to do this is hybrid. You know, for me, I wanted to share what I've learned and some of the best practices on, you know, on why I think hybrid is maybe the best and most effective. One, I think it will help with retention, right? Yeah, you're gonna ask people to come in a bit, but you're also saying, hey, I get it. You know, we can do a little bit of both and get what we all want to accomplish, which is build a great culture, reinforce that culture, right? Have some fun. By the way, all those things are going to help you with retention. You know, that's the touching and the sensing that we can experience when you're around each other. That's just harder if you're only always remote, right? And I think all the things that we're trying, and talent, you know, it will help. But listen, are there people out there that want all go in the office? Yeah, I actually have interviewed a few that said, I'm really looking for an environment where I can go in the office every day, because maybe they don't have the you know, that perfect workplace where they could work remotely, or they just know that, hey, look, hey, Sonny, I'm horrible when I work remote. I need to be in the office. Thumbs up, right? There are people that are going to want that. There are going to be people that say, I only want to work for a company that's all remote, right? And then, of course, I think hybrid starts to answer a little bit of both. And it really does help the younger people in their careers that are growing up by being in that office.
Absolutely.
I just think we send them down the wrong path when those younger, less experienced people early in their careers are sitting at home. And I know a lot of people, guess what they do?
Yeah.
Here's what I'm on all day. I'm on this. And what do I do when I get off? I'm on this. I go into gaming mode.
Yeah. No,
and they're just on this all day long.
Yes.
16 hours. And some of you are watching this, you know, you're one of them. Turn it down, close it, man, a little bit.
No, so I think it leads to that mental wellness topic as well. But I think what I hear you saying is that the freedom of choice, right? So there are people where they want the company to have that office, right? Where some companies have gone all remote and they just don't have means or structures to accommodate people where they want to come into the office. So freedom of choice, so you got to kind of define your own culture norms. That is it hybrid, you know, based on your business model, based on your customer needs, based on compliance. What is the right thing for you to do as a business? So you got to be very, very clear about that, and then define those norms that are right for you as a business and your business strategy, and those norms support that strategy. It's always a pleasure, Adam, to have you on my show. Thank you so much for joining. And for viewers, if there's something that's working really, really well for you and you want to share with us, please comment. Please, share that with us. You can reach out to us via LinkedIn or just comment on this post, and we would appreciate, your insights and what you have learned, because we're all learning together in this journey where no one has proven blueprint, and so we will value your insights, your inputs, and please share that with us. Thank you.